Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, friends. Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe coming to you it's basically 11:30 on Saturday, January 14th. The Dallas Mavericks just lost to the Portland Trail Blazers in the first of a two-game series in Portland. Tonight, they lost 136 to 119. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. This West Coast road trip is not treating, I don't think, any of us very well, to say the least.
And I think that's sort of what I want to start with, because I need to like get out some conflicting thoughts that I'm having trouble reconciling. Mm-hmm. So my first thought is that, like, I am very tired. This has been a long week because we do this on top of our day jobs and family and life, and it just wears you down. And that's just a complaint. So I think I'm a little more touchy than normal. The second is that the Mavericks have had like numerous back-to-backs on fucking weekends, and this shit eats up my time. And again, I'm choosing to do this, but I'll say the financial compensation that we get is not worth the time we put into it. It's really hilarious. This is still always a labor of love. So when the next thing I'm trying to reconcile is that when we watched like all five Mavericks play 45 plus minutes against the Lakers, this felt inevitable. This being the Mavericks just getting shellacked. And then the third and the final thing I'm trying to reconcile is why the fuck were so many Mavericks players that mattered in deep into the fourth quarter with Dallas down 20?
I don't have any answers for you there. I could not believe when the lead got to 20 and there was 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
I was like, man,
and Kid just leaves them in.
It's over, man.
Tim Hardaway got hurt, for anybody who wasn't paying attention, and probably is out for a few games. He's not dead, but I'm mad because the Mavericks are down 4 players already. And then I had to write and watch about JaVale McGee and his basketball war crime. Had to write and watch Theo Pinson, who is not and never will be an NBA player. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being. Congrats on the podcast. If you'd like to join ours, we're welcome to have a host that knows stuff. I don't care. And then we also had to watch Frank Ntilikina, who actually had an okay game, but that's 3 players that got significant minutes, and good teams are built to withstand some injuries. Now, what the Dallas Mavericks are dealing with right now goes beyond that. That's 4 players before tonight out of their rotation, 5 tomorrow if we assume Tim Hardaway is out. So it's just it's a little beyond the pale. But their key offseason acquisition cannot play, a -8 in 8 minutes, committed 2 turnovers, a basket interference, and gave up multiple offensive rebounds while doing dumb things and fouling. That can't. I'm sorry. I'm so pissed, Josh, because I feel like I wasted my night. Yeah. And then what's going to happen, and this is the fair counterpoint is, well, the Mavericks are super hurt. And that is true and probably the only real thing that matters. but I still feel like I wasted my night, and I selfishly am very pissed off about that.
That's fair. Let me offer a couple points to bounce off of there.
Okay.
You talk about the people that are going to be like, the Mavericks are hurt. What are they going to do to kind of wipe away this stretch? And that's fair, and that's completely accurate. But this is why when you start the season 13-13 with a completely healthy roster and Luka averaging 33 points a game is bad. I mean, after all those losses, the Chicago loss, the Detroit loss, the Denver loss when they were missing 3 starters, the Houston loss. I mean, we don't need to list them all because I feel like we list them every other podcast.
Right.
But
No,
every time we count on after this game, we went, this isn't going to hurt them right now, but it's going to hurt them later when things get hard, because every NBA regular season gets hard. I'm sorry, but like the Mavericks are not the only team snake bitten by injuries. Now it might be getting a little bit dicey now.
I don't remember a season quite like this. Like there's been COVID stuff, but legitimate injuries. This is one of the more there. Yeah.
But again, this is why you don't fuck around in the beginning of the season when your team's healthy and Luke is playing out of his mind. Like, you don't start the season 5, and they talked about it in the preseason. They said, we can't get off to another slow start. And they did. And now, instead of having a much larger cushion, instead of that 7-game winning streak vaulting them into maybe a comfortable first place lead in the conference, like that could have been on the table if they would have started, 20-6 instead of 13-13. And I know that sounds crazy considering how we've watched this team, but those were very winnable games they lost at the beginning of the season. I don't know how, there's no sugarcoating it. They blew a 17-point halftime lead in the season opener, for goodness sakes. Like, the third game of the season, they lost to a Pelicans team without Zion and Brandon Ingram. Like, I'm sorry to rehash it, but there's not much to talk about this game because they lost this game when they lost that double-digit lead against the Lakers. Like, as soon as that Lakers game became a game where everyone had to play a bunch of minutes, this game was an L. Like, Luka played 53 minutes a couple of nights ago. In what right world did anyone think he was going to be like in good shape, good condition to lead this team to a really difficult road environment and try to get a win against a team that's like really desperate for a win?
Like, they've lost. So I went and looked at this. The Trailblazers prior to tonight had won 3 games since December 15th. They were on a 5-game skid, but they've lost a lot. They went from being kind of 3rd, 4th in the West to being way down there. And this Mavericks win, the win over the Mavericks, and frankly, the likely win tomorrow night over the Mavericks, breathes air into their season and adds and puts me back into I just don't know what to think about this team, because now that I'm done with my rant, I completely, like, my unemotional side understands that, like, the injuries are what are kind of the underlying factor behind why this team isn't a little bit better. And the fact that they've actually done what they've done with Dorian missing, it'll be a month by the middle of next week since Dorian has been out. Josh Green has been out since December 9th. Maxi Kleba has been out since December 12th. Like, this is going on. Like, the Mavericks, that they've survived and to a certain extent, thrived. I mean, thrived is a tough one, even though we know that 7-game win streak was a bit fraudulent. They've really done well in the big picture sense. So I just have somebody popped out. I think it was Kevin on our staff popped into the game Slack and was like, blow this team up. And it's like, when you watch them lose like this, that's a completely defensible feeling, but they're still big picture. They're still going to win like 45 games.
Right. Because those guys are going to come back and the season will.
The floor is pretty high. The ceiling is low, but
But what you got to be mad at, and then you think about, you get mad at, again, that Lakers game. That game should have been over in the third quarter. They should have won. They should have been over in the third quarter. And by the way, I think Christian Wood, didn't he hurt his ankle in one of the overtimes?
Yeah, he did.
You take care of business, and he's not hurt. I mean, I know butterfly effect. I mean, you can't necessarily change the past and predict what's going to happen. But like, when you open yourself up to playing a double overtime game against a really bad Lakers team, like, the more minutes you play, the more the odds increase that something weird can happen. It's just bad. So that Lakers game, I'm glad they won it. Obviously, imagine where we would be talking about right now if they lost that game and this game. It'd be pretty bad. But it just makes me hard to talk about this game. Like the Mavericks made 22 of 46 from three, and they were never in this game.
Never in the game.
Out. And that's rare. And that goes to show what, I wrote on the site about how awful the defense has been for about a month now. And the guys that are missing are all their best defenders. So it was going to catch up to them. Like once you stop playing Houston and San Antonio every other day and you're missing these kind of guys, you're going to get your doors blown off occasionally.
The answer, the Mavs broadcast talked about this, how Portland is one of the lowest driving teams in the league. And yet they I don't even know how many paint points they had, but they went at the rim all night long. Night long.
Who's going to stop him? Luka, Spencer, Tim?
And that's actually something specific I sort of wanted to talk about where I think it was Matthew Phillips in our game chat pointed out that, or it's Brett, I'm sorry, it was Brent Brooks who pointed out that when Powell picked up his fourth foul in the second quarter, it was because Kidd had to leave him in because he cannot play JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
Like McGee is unplayable. If he wasn't on a 3-year contract, he would be cut. I feel pretty confident in that.
The thing with McGee that hurts is not only the fact that he's on, like the on-court stuff hurts, like what he's doing.
Yep.
But you think about like he was literally their only free agent maneuver.
Only one
this summer. His contract was the only contract they could have given in terms of like a multi-year non-veteran minimum, and they spent it on him. They didn't spend it on another wing, another guard. Like they spent it on him. And you go back, and if you want to feel really bad about yourself, go look this summer and look at the guys that got money in about McGee's range. Bruce Brown in Denver right now, backup forward, do it all jack of all trades forward. That sound pretty good right now, wouldn't it? It's like there were some guys available in that price range.
Because they didn't know, like we talked about this. Jason Kidd doesn't understand why they won. I'm pretty positive in that. Luka is why they win. I am not remotely interested in these conversations about how, if it's the team that they surrender, building around Luka is very difficult. I'm not going to be that naive. But the team wins because the team won last year because they played at the 30th or like 32nd pace, even though there's only 30 teams in the league. And they won they won the rebounding math despite, and what I mean by that is they lost the rebounding battle, but they won the 3-point math. So the solution to go get a rebounder still on paper makes sense. Okay. But JaVale McGee was not the answer. He was a bad basketball player. And we're 44 games into this. We've done this once or twice before. People have heard this. If you thought JaVale McGee was good, you are lying because you haven't seen him play basketball. His numbers look good. Hell, his numbers tonight. You're going to look at him and go, wow, McGee played 8 minutes and had 5 rebounds, which he did. Okay. But he was a sieve. He gambled on blocks. He gave up a free throw rebound. That was one of the things that the Mavericks needed.
Didn't he do that against the Lakers too?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I need people. Basketball is such an easy sport to ball watch. Okay. And a guy like McGee should be a lot better than he is. But the reason he isn't is because he's never learned to do the things that would make him better. He's easily baited. He's not and again, that he was put into this spot frustrates me, but the Mavericks chose to go get him. So they and he are ultimately responsible for this level of criticism. So the fact that teams attack both Dwight Powell and JaVale McGee, which are basically the options at this point, Davis Bertans at center, means the next thing that has to happen, and Kidd is talking about this right now, he's saying the defense was really bad. Perimeter defenders have to stop getting shook by single dribble moves. That shit is driving me crazy.
Yeah, but the problem is there's not what do you scheme? Like there's no scheme to that. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing to talk about.
Play better, which I actually I'm sorry, like that.
If these guys aren't defenders, these guys aren't defenders. The guys that they're playing right now aren't defenders. Like that's the problem.
I hate it because it's like the defensive principle type stuff where it's like you see guys with the wrong foot forward and stuff. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just like basic stuff where your lead foot is it. I don't want to get into this stuff. I know they're not defenders, but all of them could stand to be an inch better.
Yeah,
Just
I
a
know.
little bit.
I know. And maybe they would have been a little bit better tonight if they all didn't have to play 45
Yes.
to 50 minutes in a double overtime game a couple of
See, and that's why I started off saying
Yeah,
I have a whole
right.
bunch of irreconcilable facts that I understand why. I just am mad.
That's why I was more mad about that Lakers game, and it was a win. I'm like, remember we were talking, I was like, man, people are gonna like be really mad at me that I'm this mad about a win. But I was like, you just costed yourself a game. Like it's just
Right.
and this was the game to get because now like is Luka gonna like Luka's
Luka shouldn't play tomorrow night. He needs a
And
rest. He's
No,
toast.
honestly, if I wouldn't play any of these. I wouldn't play Luka. I wouldn't play Spencer. I wouldn't play Tim. I wouldn't play any of those three guys.
Yeah.
Like
No,
just
see it. Let's let McKinley Wright go do some stuff. Let's
Yeah.
let Theo Pinson get minutes, even though he was 3 of 6 from 3 tonight. So somebody's going to yell at me about this, but like I don't care. Like
like you save your legs. You got a 2-game homestand against Atlanta and Miami, two teams that are like
that are very beatable.
Yeah, very beatable, but they can beat you. I mean, they're playoff teams, so like let's not look that over. So they've got not a 2-game homestand. They've got 4 games at home. Like just I wouldn't play anyone of importance tomorrow that you can get away with. Obviously you'd have to play like Powell, and you have to play Bullock, but I would rest Luka, I would rest Spencer, I'd rest THJ, and THJ might depending on the severity of that ankle sprain, might not have a choice. He might be out. I don't know, but I just don't see the point. Get home. Just try to get home as much as one piece as you can. Try to salvage something.
Yeah.
Try to rebound in the 4-game homestand.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I do want to at least address that weren't like awful. So thing number one, shout out to Reggie Bullock for raising his 3-point percentage in a single game from 31.3 to 33.8. Because he went 8 of 10 from the floor, and the shot looked pure and confident, and confidence is key for him. I hope it's the start of something. 24 points, clear season high. And then the next thing I like to see, I was appreciative of Spencer's attacking. Less Spencer dawdling. Spencer likes to try to do like Luka light shit, and his strength is in his length and in his like defenders' seeming inability to judge his length when he commits to a move. So I like Spencer.
His north-south, when he just decides I'm going to be north-south, just a straight line drive to the rim. He's, that's what he did last year. He had his free throw rate was huge on the team last year.
And he's just been bad this year because he's not attacking.
Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, you can't really complain about anything about the offense. I mean,
what do you think of Hardy?
I feel like these last,
it's not his fault.
Defense is bad, but what are you going to do?
Yep.
This was probably a game he probably should have played more, if only because they should have realized that this game was lost earlier and got him into the game faster.
I would like to
Luka
see
doesn't play 36 minutes.
So offensively, I like his attack, but he's getting his shit thrown back at him a lot lately because I think the read on him is he's going to attack. So just be kind of aware of that on like whatever 8th level scouting report a team has.
Yeah.
The second thing is that, okay, the defense is going to be bad. I would like to see some progression on the defense. Like, show me something that's not a steal. Show me better footwork. Like, if you're quick on offense, you can be quick on defense. And that takes time. It does take repetition too. And that's where kids got to find more minutes for him in a game like tonight, because they were like, this game was over in the third quarter.
Yeah. And with Hardy, I think it's probably, you're not going to see this type of improvement mid-season. This is like an off-season thing, but like, since he's not like he can get to the, he likes to drive, and we, like we said, we really appreciate his knack for wanting to put his head down and get to the rim.
Yep.
But he's not going to be an explosive finisher. So his offseason needs to be working on floater, teardrop, just in between, in the paint, not at the rim touch, so that, he's not always barreling in and getting a shot blocked. He can kind of maybe pull up and drop a little runner in the lane, because he's not going to be a guy that finishes through people. So he's going to probably need to get a finesse game in that area of the floor. So that's something he should. Hopefully he works on. He can start working on it now, but you're probably not going to see something like that mid-season. But that would be like the next step for him, I think, is these teams realize he wants to get to the rim and wall him off there.
Yep.
So, but man, yeah, this sucked because this, I honestly, I talked in our Slack about like before this game, I was like, they'll probably win this one and then sit everyone and lose Sunday. Like,
yep.
And so this was the one that stinks because you almost have to give up tomorrow's game unless you just want to drive all these guys into the ground. We'll see how much Tibbs there is in Jason Kidd tomorrow.
Well, and that's where like if you assume Kidd has some say in how the team was built, because I feel pretty confident that Kidd was a Jason, or that McGee was a Kidd signing. Like, he bears some responsibility for the roster, but then you get to the back end of it and it's just like, what are we doing? And he said he's talking about, he just recently, the last few minutes, gave a quote about how he doesn't think injuries are catching up to the team because they're 24-20. And I tend to agree with him. Tonight is the first time I've really felt that the injuries were absolutely catching up with the Mavericks, which
is a tired team. Yeah.
It's a testament to the whole team. So it's like, I know I'm being a little unfair. We're just at that point in the season. Like, January tends to be like, last year's January was a lot of fun because the Mavericks started winning a bunch. But like, traditionally, January is when you start to feel in the mud because, you're trying to get to All-Star break. You're trying to get to trade deadline. And these guys are just trying to get healthy and do all those things. And the same thing comes from covering and watching the team. I mean, if you're appointment viewing with the Mavericks and then they're looking kind of how they've looked in these past 5 or 6 games, you can tell everybody's tired.
Yep, for sure. And the schedule's not getting easier, really.
They get a couple days off after this. They don't play I don't think they play till Wednesday.
I just meant like opponents. Like,
sure.
And I hate to say it, but it's the reason why it doesn't look easier opponent wise is because they literally played like 7 games in a row against the worst teams in the league. So it has to balance out now, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know.
You're right. You're right. All right. Well, let's get out of Dodge. I'm going to go do the live show. Come read stuff on the site. Got some fun posts for a weekend. I was pretty pleased with the things everybody's turned in. We'll be back tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll have something different to talk about. Otherwise, it just might be like a 5-minute show.
Yeah.
Everybody be good. Enjoy your Sunday. And if you're listening to this a little later in the week, I appreciate you listening, even though it's a loss. Everybody have a good weekend.